I'm Sophie.
I'm Jada.
And I'm Chris.
And this is
JGS Unplugged.
So we're very excited to have our first guest on the podcast,
Chris Britton.
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me on the show.
Of course. So he's going to talk a little bit about himself today, and we're going to ask him a few questions. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Of course. So I was born in Illinois. I consider myself born and raised in the Quad Cities, even though I was born in a small town called Galesburg. But my parents moved to the Quad Cities. I was probably like 2 or 3. So I've been here pretty much all my life. Silvis, Milan, Moline, East Moline, and came to Rock Island when I was a teenager. So I really claim Rock Island. Did a lot of youth programs in Rock Island, and I'm a teacher in Rock Island School District now.
Oh, and this is Jada's dad.
Surprise! Surprise!
So he's a very special guest.
Okay, we're going to get into some of the questions we have for him.
Okay, so our first question is, what's one trend or style from your youth that you secretly miss?
Oh, man.
I'm excited for this question.
Well, I kind of grew up in the golden age of hip hop. I didn't know you were going to ask this question. I actually have this hoodie that says raised by hip hop. So I love it. But one style that it might actually be coming back, because you can see my hair is kind of big. I'm lucky that I'm kind of old, but this is kind of a hairstyle that I had when I was a teenager. But suspenders and like boots.
I've seen that a lot.
Have you seen it?
Yes.
Suspenders?
Is that coming back? Like suspenders,
Yeah.
and they would have
Like overalls and stuff, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And then like some Timberland boots. I think it's kind of back in some places in the United States.
There's
a few
kind of
people
coming back at our school.
Yeah.
Is it really?
There's a few
Yeah.
people in our school who
Yo.
are doing that. I actually like that look.
Yeah, I do too.
Oh,
I'm
man.
I'm not hating on that.
How would
look.
you feel if your dad was rocking that? I mean, that's
That would be a
You would
choice. That would be.
Young again, I guess.
right. Yeah.
Okay, the next question we have for you is, how did you figure out what you want to do with your life? And was it hard to figure it out?
So I figured out by making a lot of mistakes. I mean, I was a knucklehead in high school. I was a quiet kid, but I was kind of a knucklehead, not like really crazy or anything like that. But I didn't pay attention to anything that had to do with like future stuff. So when it came to like college, some kind of college presentation that some older people was giving, I was tuning out. I was more worried about what video games I was playing after school. So when I was a senior, it wasn't. I know it sounds funny, but I wasn't really serious about life after high school until maybe 2 weeks until graduation. Because it was like, oh, shoot, like, I'm going to graduate. And the joke was on me because I actually did not graduate on time. So that began kind of like a spiral of some negative thoughts, because then when I realized like how much that I didn't listen to some of the instruction and guidance that I was given, I really was in a bad place, because I was like, dang, I'm just dumb. I'm stupid. And I didn't go into university until like 5 years after high school as like a freshman. So it was a lot of mistakes, but luckily like I had some people that were in my life that helped to continue to guide me. So then starting to listen once you make mistakes, not just to like grovel in them, but to listen and try to do better.
Do you feel like that all happened for a reason? Like, do you think that was how it was supposed to work out?
Yeah, I mean, Jada's here, and I got my wife from that. I met my wife in college, so, you know, I think I probably would have met a wife or something anyway, but I'm saying, like, and it's funny just to think about, like, everything happening for a reason, because, like, when I come home at night from work and stuff like that, I'm just really thankful for my family. I know I could have had another family and all that. There's somebody that's tried to say, like, bro, you would have been fine, but I wouldn't know the family that I have now. So I'm really thankful for that type of guidance, because the people in my life that I have as families, like, it's really a blessing.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about Mom and how you met her? Because that's kind of a cool story.
It's kind of a crazy story. So I went to school at Judson University. Shout out to Elgin, Illinois. And I was a youth ministry major. And man, we might have to be on another podcast, but I know like some students might really like this story. But I actually was dating someone seriously probably freshman through junior year in college. And I knew that I probably wasn't interested in marrying that person. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but it was like nice just to be with somebody.
Yeah.
So we rocked with each other for a long time, and we didn't have a whole bunch of like arguments and stuff like that. But deep down, it was one of those other situations. Like I was getting older, and I was about to be a senior in college again, and I was just like, yo, I gotta start thinking like, is this really like for real, like wifey material or no? And no shade against that particular young lady. But I knew like we was on different paths and stuff.
Yeah.
So here comes my junior year. I just finished my junior year, and I had to do a summer internship at a camp. I wanted to come back to Quad Cities and serve at a place that I had been serving every year. And my professor said, no, you should go get another experience. So it was like a week before I needed to turn in this paperwork to my professor to prove that I had a summer job at a camp. And my boy just told me to call this camp that he was working at. I went there. They said, hey, everything looks good, but I don't know if we have any room for one more staff, but I'm going to hire you. And I was like, oh, word, okay, thanks, sign this. And then I took it back. And I didn't even want to go there, really. But my first 10 minutes that I was there, your mom was there.
Aww.
She was the director. And I remember, this is a funny story, because I was late, because back in the day, kids, we didn't have... I didn't have one of these, so I was using like printed off directions to get to this camp.
And I could not do that.
Even though I'm a person that sometimes runs late, like I was mad because now I'm the late guy.
Yeah.
And I wasn't trying to be late. We actually was like a friend was dropping me off, and we could not figure out how to get to this camp. So I was like 10 or 15 minutes late. Trish came out and introduced herself, and I could tell I was just like, shoot, like. It's gonna be a long day because I'm late for the staff meeting, like the first day. And then we fell in love and stuff, you know. I raised your mom up a little bit.
And she's from Canada, so.
Yeah, she is from Canada.
Oh, we should bring her on and
Yeah, we
ask
should.
about how her first interaction with you
Yes,
was from her
you know
point
what?
of view.
Oh man,
Maybe she saw things differently than you did.
that would be funny. Ask her about when she first met me. I'd like to see her version of that story.
Our next question is, what do you think is the biggest difference between how we grew up and how you did?
Oh man, I think that now hear me out, because I'll sound like the old man that's mad about it, but technology, like cell phones, all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
that's a big difference, because back in the day, like we just didn't have the information that you all have at your fingertips, and obviously that could be good and bad.
Yeah.
So I imagine that I would have had a lot more access to resources, like college stuff and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You just look at it, instead of me, like I just was not listening, but it would have been everywhere. It could have been a little bit more easy to access. I could have clicked on pictures and did a whole campus tour to broaden my view of college. But now anybody can do that. Like you can do a virtual tour of a college dorm room right now. And so you all have the information at your fingertips, and I feel like that's good, and it's dangerous as well.
Yeah. I was going to ask, do you think that the internet and social media has had like a worse impact on teenagers now, or like a better impact?
That's a loaded question.
Because I feel like
It is a loaded question.
with this class, we're trying to
Yeah.
like prove like there are good parts of social media, but like, do adults see it from that standpoint, or is that just because we're teenagers and we want to view it like that?
I think y'all are good kids, so I think that you will have a positive outlook about social media. And then me, like where I'm from and some of my story, I know that if I did have a cell phone at the same age, because of how I was, I think that it would have been a big struggle for me.
Yeah.
And a lot of my peers as well. So it's one of those things where I think that's why parents are scared about, like, all these parents are like, what grade or what age was your kid when you gave them a social media or you gave them a phone?
Yeah.
And it's a big debate, because I think parents from my generation are scared of knowing the possibilities of the bad stuff.
Yeah.
However, I mean, there's a lot of, I know kid and teen entrepreneurs that are able to be sneakerheads and sell shoes, and they're still in high school and they're making thousands of dollars and running their own business.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be possible without like Instagram or without like Whatnot or without some of these other things. So there's a lot of good things out there, but it still is scary as parents thinking about what we know about like the real world and the bad stuff, and that y'all basically have access to it. So I feel like that's like the big argument.
Yeah. And I think it's also because the age that kids get social media keeps getting younger and younger.
Yeah,
So
it does.
then
Yeah.
like young kids are having access to all of this
Yeah.
and they don't know what to do with it.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, I think that's also a fear that a lot of people bring up when they're trying to convince their kid not to get social media.
Yeah.
Yes, but stuff like this is good. Like I feel
Yeah.
like you all having a class where you can do something positive and use your creativity. That's another thing that when parents see this or when adults see this, I think that it's a little bit more refreshing to
Yeah.
show
Yeah.
people that there are positive outlets and that teens are doing some cool things with the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so another question is, how do you handle stress now versus when you were a teenager?
Dang.
Kind of deep.
That's a deep question. I think when I was a teenager, I was naturally a quiet person. So I would just be thinking a lot. And I think that as a teenager, that led me down some lonely paths and stuff. So I think, when I was a teenager, there wasn't as much information about anxiety.
Yeah.
And
Wasn't it viewed as kind of like a bad thing back in your generation?
yeah.
Well,
but
everybody kind of thought it was fake.
Yeah.
yeah,
Nobody
there wasn't a
really
lot of
took it
like
seriously.
literature. There was no like, y'all got mental health days and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I said to my parents, I need a timeout, I need a mental health day, they'll be like, take your, hey, you better go to school, and then make it to the weekend and make sure you rest on the weekend. But there were times when I had anxiety. I had panic attacks, probably more leading up to my junior and senior year. And I just was like, I don't know what's wrong with me.
Yeah.
Like I thought I was going crazy, and I definitely didn't talk to anybody about it because it felt weird. So I think that back then, I think my faith actually was a big thing. When I was a junior and senior, I think that I really found peace, not just through like some corny like prayer and just opening my Bible every day. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I feel like I really felt God in my life, like for real. And I can't explain and I can't really argue with anybody about it. But I felt like His Spirit gave me peace when I was anxious because I was like in a position where I didn't know what was going on with my mind. And I would be in my room, and then I would just have this peace, and I would feel like, oh, I'll be all right. I'll be all right. So that was a big thing. And now that I'm able to be older and I'm able to look back on that, I think I have that kind of testimony to know, like, when things do get bad and I feel down, that it's going to be okay. But also, I've learned how to use, like, creativity in my life, like writing. I'm a creative writing teacher, and that kind of developed through just writing raps and writing poetry and writing bars and stuff. So I use that a lot now. I write a lot of poetry about just life and everyday things.
Do you think that not having someone there for you when you did have those panic attacks in your junior and senior year was like made you stronger now, or do you wish you would have had someone to talk to about it?
That question is tough, man, because I actually wish I did have somebody, because I don't think there's anything that beats a physical presence. Like the God presence was cool, but a hug from somebody or like actually literally being able to talk to somebody that understands, I think would have went a long way. So when I look back on those sad moments, I wish I had somebody like physically there where I could talk to. Not just that, because, you could talk to somebody about something serious and they're not even listening or they're not even paying attention, and then you feel worse. You're like,
Yeah.
Feel like you were a burden to
I
them.
just did all this and you ain't even really listening. So, but to have somebody physically in my presence that could be there for me, I would have loved that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that's what's so different about it is now it's more public about how you're feeling. Your emotions are usually more put out on the table for some people at least. And so then like when you feel like you connect with somebody, I think that helps a lot to realize you're not the only one going through that. And I think that just that connection can help a lot. And I think that like with a lot of people your age, that's a big struggle for people because they didn't feel like they could open up because
Right.
it was
Yeah.
so like ostracized and they
Yep.
didn't really accept that.
Yep. I'm holding back
You're holding back.
a little bit because that's a
Yeah.
good topic right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the last question, it's what's the best piece of life advice you've gotten from an older person, and what life advice would you give to us?
Man, this sounds like a riddle kind of, but it's something that helped me just think of, what we call generically like the up and downs of life. But somebody in my young adult years, I don't know exactly what I was going through at that time though, but they said, I think I explained like I was going through some kind of tough time or something, and the person said, the best place to be is where you're at right now, because that's the
Yeah.
only place where you can really do something about it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
where you can be present. I was really upset at that because I think I was going through something, and I was like, that's what you're going to tell me? Like the best place
Yeah.
to be is where I'm at. And right now where I'm at is like a really frustrating
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, that didn't seem helpful.
It might even been when somebody broke up with me or something, like before your mother, before your mother.
Gotta throw that.
But I just remember being like, that advice was trash. However, I think that I took that with me, kind of being like, in the present is the only place where you can really take whatever action that you need.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's a heartbreak or whatever, then I needed to do what I needed to do. If that was grieve for a little bit and then get back up. But I had to kind of re-ask that question or just restate that in my
Yeah.
head
Yeah.
in a lot of life situations and circumstances that, hey, this is the best place to be right now. This is the only time I could do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would ask myself, what do I need to do right now?
Yeah, that's a hard concept because I feel like everyone's always saying like you'll get past this. This is just like another day.
Yeah.
But like sometimes it's good to realize, no, do something about it now. Like just because there will be a future, change your future by acting on it now.
Right.
Like I think that a lot of people don't bring that up.
Yep. That's good.
So what life advice would you give to us?
Man, I think that the life advice that I would give to you two young ladies is to continue in high school to make like really like solid, meaningful relationships with people.
Yeah.
And don't worry too much about, because there's the question that gets asked to you all the time, especially as you're approaching like senior years, like what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
You'll hear that a million times.
Yeah.
And I think that that's kind of a scary question, especially if you don't know. And I was one of those people that didn't know.
Yeah.
I would make something up, you know what I mean? But don't feel the pressure that you have to know right now, because I went to college with so many people that ended up getting 4 to 6 year degrees. Mm-hmm. And this is not a knock against college, but I'm saying mentally and stuff, a lot of people don't really figure out who they are as a person until they're in their 20s, no matter what decision that they make. So really it's about doing something that's true to who you are. And as you continue to be true to to who you are, it's kind of like a compass. You'll continue to get directed towards what that thing is. And some people know right after high school, but I mean, I went to school with an awesome class of youth pastors. And when I'm on social media, I see that, man, some of them went on to be real estate agents.
Yeah.
They went on to be in the health field, or they got different degrees. I'm a teacher now.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of people that are still doing youth ministry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying don't go to college for something, but I feel like I still learned a lot of stuff about caring for youth.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's helped me in my position. So for you all, I feel like keep going, keep being true to yourself and going towards what you feel is closest to your passions. And if you're wrong, just be like, okay, that's not it, but it's going to get you closer to whatever that main thing is.
Yeah. What would you say to kids who their parents don't really support that? Like their parents are pushing for them to go to college.
Yeah, that's tough.
Go if you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the worst thing that could happen is, like, it sounds crazy, but when I look back at college, and I had to take an extra semester at college, and that hurt me because, again, hearing my story, I graduated late from high school as well. So when I found out that I didn't have enough credit to graduate with my class for college, and they said, oh, you just got to wait like 3 or 4 more months, I was kind of crushed.
Yeah.
But that 3 months don't mean nothing now that I look back at it now. Like, it seemed like a long time. So when you think about some of your life decisions, a semester at college is not going to like hurt you.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're really going to learn more about like some of your desires and some of your wants and stuff. Yeah. And you might be like, oh, this is actually a lot easier than I thought. I think I can get an associate's, or I can do 2 years instead of 4 years. But you'll know, what it's like, and you'll get a taste of it. And there's nothing wrong with that. So try stuff.
Yeah.
And I bet you're glad that you went to Judson for youth ministry, because even though you're a teacher right now at an alternative school, that still helps a lot, doesn't it? Like having that youth degree.
Yeah.
And dealing with youth, even though it's not specifically in ministry.
Yeah. So I have this concept. I call it hustling. Like when I was a teen, I knew about hustling in the streets. I didn't do it. I saw a lot of people hustling in the streets, but really, hustlers, they know how to take something from nothing. They use all their resources, and then they provide. They might say like, I'm trying to provide for my family. So the concept in my class that I teach is like, hustle and get this knowledge in the school behind you, because you won't regret having your diploma. And that's the thing that's going to help you to put food on the table and things of that nature. But I say that because in my process of doing youth ministry, I feel like now I use all of that in my classroom because I have a better understanding of youth. I study like adolescent psychology and how to put curriculums together that's fun. I even told my principal, he was saying like, man, I feel bad sometimes because you guys have 90-minute class periods with kids that have behavior stuff. Yeah. And I was like, well, in youth ministry, I was with teens for like 3 hours, and we had to pick them up and drop them off. Yeah. I said, so I think like, hey, I need an icebreaker for 30 minutes. I might have some games, then they'll get their instruction, and then we'll have some personal time. I don't tell the kids in my class that, but it's helped me to organize my classroom into a safe environment where students can hustle for that knowledge and get what they need in class. So yes, I'm very thankful for that.
We're super thankful that you could come on this podcast.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm thankful for you all, and I know this is a class, but this is kind of cool. I think you guys should keep it going.
Yeah. I think we're excited to see how it'll grow, especially over the summer.
Yeah.
And if you have your mom on here too?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It was really fun, like not only like for the viewers who are gonna watch this, but for us, like just getting to learn about you. So thanks for coming on here and being willing to share your story.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So if you guys want to see anybody else on here, like especially if you know us, you go to our school, just comment down below who you do want to see and any questions you have for them, and if you want us to bring Chris back on.
Hey,
and
should we bring Trish?
Bring them on together.
Follow me at IMC Britton. This is going on social media. This is my first time ever dropping my. Hey, can I say that on here?
Yeah, IMC Britton.
IMC Britton. Follow me.
Thanks for tuning into our podcast, and we'll see you next time on JGS Unplugged.
Peace.